Hello, students. Welcome to this lecture series. This is your teacher, Professor Nirmal Kumar Swai, Department of Library and Information Science, MD University, Rohtak, Haryana. Though these lecture modules are being created for our own students of this university, but others can even, especially those are new entrants or the freshly inducted students, I mean doctoral students, so you can get benefit of this lecture also. This module is especially focused on the research objectives or objectives, only objectives. As I told you, we are doing synopsis writing. So synopsis writing, then where were we? We were at review of related literature. In previous module, we have covered that. The next point, I mean next heading, you write objectives. Okay, and I told you in one of my video that why review of literature should come. I mean precede the research objectives or objectives only. Okay, the reason being, like through reviewing of previously published literature, so you are bringing to the notice of the evaluators, to the people, or you are presenting before the board of the panel who will be approving your PhD work, that this is the present case, and though researchers or some kind of publications were there, but still there is missing link. So that missing link would be covered in the present doctoral and PhD work. This is the message you want to give to the evaluators. Okay, this is first. So that's why after that then you are coming to objectives. Suppose objectives comes first, then in some cases literature review comes next. So this seems to be very irrational or illogical. Illogical means it might so happen like you frame the objectives, and while coming to the literature part, so maybe after formulating the objectives you may think, oh, these were the things I was having impression, so after looking at the literature, so I need to modify my objectives. That's why literature review comes before the objectives. Well, how to write objectives, especially as I told you that there are different formats or trend rather I would say. So in Indian case, at least in Indian case, in social sciences, the objectives are written by point wise or bullet wise or 1, 2, 3 serial wise. Sometimes whatever I share with you on the basis of my experience, long standing experience with my PhD students, so they used to typically inquire how to write the objectives. Objectives should be in normal writing, like the way we write in paragraph wise, or it should be written in a different way. Well, your synopsis, again and again I am reiterating that your synopsis is nothing but a research proposal, your blueprint, your say the diagram what exactly you want to do. So in many ways possible, as many as ways possible, you make your research proposal or research questions or entire plan for research very lucid or very brief, lucid and clear. So for that we may have to go by different ways. Like you have said, I have mentioned a statement of problem. Statement of problem, just after introduction you have mentioned it in very paragraph wise. Okay, but if that is not clear, then you are coming to the objectives part. Objective part, here I would suggest, in Indian pattern doing social science research, you make it in a fragmentary sentences. Fragmentary sentence. What is that fragmentary sentences? fragmentary like 1, 2, 3. To know this, the beginning of, in some of my videos you can look into how the language part. So what is objectives? To know the higher education system of India, to examine, to know, to examine, okay, and all it would be in a normal Roman letter, not caps, and maybe suppose there are 10 fragmentary sentences, then at the end of each sentences you make put a question, punctuation mark, semicolon. Semicolon for this reason that suppose there are 10 lines or 10 points, fragmentary sentences, and the last one should be ended with the stop, full stop. Okay. So because we consider it is one sentence written in fragmentary way. So the first one would be to examine. If you consider my previous example, if your work is on choice based credit system in India, then to what exactly you want to do? To know the history and the curricula of Indian higher education system, to know what options should be given to the students in the form of electives. Okay. So this way you mention the fragmentary sentences, but remember, especially for the youngsters, those are coming into the doctoral research program, so you may small t to examine. So you don't language has a taste of reading, listening and reading also. Don't write all the time, to examine, to elucidate, to know, to clarify, so you synonymous kind of things you may, so that if someone reads your 10 objectives, suppose you have mentioned, then it would be great to read, with the different, to examine, to elucidate, to verify, to analyze, to critically examine. So these are the beginning words of your sentences. So then students ask how many fragmentary sentences or broken sentences are given, need to give in your PhD synopsis. Students, again, there is no clear-cut definitions of that. Nowhere it is written. Out of my own experience for last many years doing conducting PhD program in my department, so I have gathered this, and many of senior research supervisors also would agree the way I am suggesting to the young PhD students. Okay. So, but don't, while putting in step by step in fragmentary sentences, I would suggest don't number it with 1, 2, 3 or I in Roman numbers like I, double I, triple I. Don't do that. And the reason being, it would be counted if it is 10, 20, 9, 10, whatever. So counting sometimes, you have given only 10. You might be asked, okay, why not 12, why not 15? Subjective interpretation may be there by the judges or by the evaluators. Okay, so better you put in a bullets. Okay, point wise bullets in your computer or laptop. So these facilities are there. So one by one. So then 10 bullets. Okay, so 10 fragmentary. Could be 12 also, but don't strengthen it. One I remember probably last year, one of my PhD students, while making his synopsis, he said, no sir, I have made it around 18 or 19. How to reduce? I say, reduce is that sometimes as you are new and probably your vocabulary, language, writing style, you are not that much experienced. So it may so happen like you may club 2, 3 sentences or objectives into one also. You never know, probably you are repetitive. Suppose in serial number 2, serial number 3, and the same thing is repeated in probably you are not aware. So when you give close look into your nature and number of objectives, then certainly you can come to know, or you may consult with your research guide also. You club two, three objectives into one, so that your number of objectives would be reduced. If it is lengthened, you might ask, you might inquire, or it may this issue may crop in your mind, that if there is no strict guidelines, why not to have a very long list of objectives or a short list of objectives? That is true, but too long would, as I told you, too long sometimes it is redundant, maybe repetitive, and doesn't show that the sincerity or the scholarship of the student. While reading one would be exhausted by so many objectives, and it should not, but at the same time it should not be too short also. Too short means like 4 or 5. That means you are not again sincere to look into the matter. So objectives, probably some part of objectives you have mentioned in the statement of problem. If you remember, just after introduction, we have discussed about statement of problem. Okay, but that statement problem was the narrative or the writing style was in a different paragraph form, sentence wise, one after another. While reading also, then though maybe those sentences are broken, and categorically we are telling we are going to do this, we are examining this, and we are clarifying this, we are analyzing this, so that it will be more and better clear. As I told you, synopsis is meant for that, so that this is objectives. So again, for this objectives part, I would tell you, so objectives I suggested, this could be written in other ways also, like a paragraph wise. But if you are writing the objectives in paragraph wise, then how do you differentiate this from the statements of problem? Because already statements of problem you have mentioned in American PhD, probably they don't write these objectives. Typically, this lecture is meant for the Indian students. They say statement of problem and backdrop or background. So that is enough. If you want to know what exactly I want to say, then you read my statement of problem. Again, for Indian students, are the trend in Indian universities is, so that you break off those paragraph wise narratives into fragmentary sentences, in smaller sentences, in objective, so that it would be more and more clear. After all, what is the role of the synopsis? Through synopsis, possible as many as lucid ways we want to convey to the evaluator, to the judges or the panelist. This is my agenda, this is my proposal, this is my line of thought to do this. So in this sense, objective. Somewhere I have mentioned, if you go into YouTube channel of my videos, then you may find that how these point wise objectives are given. So this is objectives, and then we will move to next. Okay, bye bye.